All right, today we're going to be hitting back pretty hard and going for the best pump we can since we started the cut. I'm feeling pretty good. Slept for 12 hours straight. Thank God it's a day off. But I guess that's kind of my body's way of telling me that it's tired. I've been hitting over my step goal. I've been doing my cardio, been hitting the gym as hard as I can, but just the fact that I'm not getting that nutrition in, it's tough. I'm getting as much protein as I can, and I'm eating to the point where I'm still, able to fuel my workouts and not just die when I go to the gym. But it is certainly a lot different than main gaining or bulking, and that's why, I'm trying to preserve as much strength as I can, but at some point, if you're getting down to the point where you're grinding out 5-6 reps for say a week or more and your weight's dropping, you might have to, swallow your pride and drop the weight just a little bit and then up the reps. For me, I never go below 5 or 6 anymore, so I would say that the best course of action would be to probably go towards the 8 to 12 range. You don't need to get super high, but you just kind of got to listen to your body, and I think that's something that you just gain over time with experience. It's different for everybody. Some people can just go out and still lift, 315, no problem, and just keep going no matter what they're eating. And there's some people that, their joints are aching and cracking, popping every single time you just lift it at all, And you just got to be able to pay attention to that. And the further you get, the better you become at it. And I think that's what you just have to look for. You have to realize what your body can do. And Coach has just given me a little advice. So I'm going to go ahead and hit back, and I will see how I'm doing post-workout in just a minute. With Coach sitting like this, I kind of look like a pirate. But I don't think that's what I want to be doing right now. Come here. Okay. Well, that was a really great back pump. It wasn't just the feeling of the weight. It was more like, I went after the sets, checked my pump, and I was like, wow, not only do I look more shredded than I ever have, which, isn't saying too much, but I also looked and I was like, you know what? For once, I feel even. I've had a problem recently and in, months past where I look and I'm like, well, one shoulder's riding higher than the other. And that's something that I've become kind of self-conscious about, not in terms of, worrying about it, but it's more like wanting that symmetry. And I don't think it's a muscle imbalance. I think it just has to do with posing. So I may honestly end up signing myself up for some posing classes perhaps, just to figure out what I'm doing wrong. But today was one of those days where I was like, yeah, you know what? I look good and I feel good. But I think part of the reason that it's so rewarding to go back day after day is just that I see little hints of progress. I mean, my legs have never been this cut, you know what I mean? And my face still, round, and I still have no jawline to speak of. But, it's thinner than it was. I mean, I remember back when I was, 10 years old playing soccer, and man, I was built like a bowling ball. I was a fat little kid. I had a big gut, and there's this photo I always look at of me and my dad, him looking so different and me looking just like a fat little pig. And I look back at that and I smile because, I've gotten so far. And instead of becoming, extremely overweight, I took control. Part of that was because I just enjoyed what I was doing, but I think leading an active life is a good thing. And I went from, not being able to play anything but goalie because I was so tired, to actually being able to play defense and a little bit of forward. There's little wins like that. And the more you look back, reminisce, and remember, the better you feel. Even if you're going through a rut, just remember where you started. Remember that you've taken a lot of time to get good at what you do, and that no matter how you're doing in that moment, you are so much better than what you were. Oh, thank you. All right, coach is telling me it's time to wrap it up and pay her with a little bit of food. So I'm going to go ahead and end it here, and tomorrow's going to be legs with a hamstring focus, and I'm excited for that, and I can tell coach is too. So I'll see you tomorrow with more coach and more leg day.